I'm Patrick with DLP, and wow, are you all in for a treat? So this masterclass features the best of trainings that we've done here at DLP on goal setting and their achievement. Now, people have asked Don Winter, our CEO, many times how he's done it, how he's achieved such incredible growth on the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies year after year after year, and how he sets and achieves his own personal goals. So that's what this masterclass is all about. The first video is going to be where Don took our internal team through a training on the life assessment and goal designing workbook. And so that is where he'll lead you through exactly how you can start off with an assessment of your life, where you're doing well in certain areas and where you're not, so you can figure out what areas you need to work on. It was recorded live in front of our team, so the audio might not be absolutely perfect, but I think the content is still exactly what you're looking for, so I certainly hope you enjoy.
We're going to keep this training pretty tight and give you some time to actually do the exercise here, do the process of life assessment. So we've been doing this every year here at DLP for, I think this is year 4 or 5 that we've been doing this exercise. We've steadily improved it and tweaked it. Again, here we will this year. I've been doing this exercise for probably 9 or 10 years now. Again, steadily tweaking it over the years. It has been incredibly powerful for me, for those who've implemented this over the years, have come to me with tremendous gains and improvements and value out of this exercise of really assessing your life and then setting goals. I had the pleasure about a month ago, I was asked at a Tiger 21 group, which is a group, and the group I was in, there was about 25 individuals. These are men and women who generally have owned very large businesses. Many of these people in the meeting were billionaires. Yes, billionaires with a B. And I was asked to present on something. Is basically what the guy at Tiger 21 said. Hey, Don, can you come present on something you think would be valuable to the group? So I literally came in and presented this. I presented our life assessment and goal setting process. I got rave reviews from that group. These are people who've, gone and traveled the world, gone to places probably like on this picture, who have been to Tony Robbins and all these greats, have had personal coaches, and they were blown away with the tool. Many of them have now implemented this into their own companies already. I've helped a number of them do that. I've been asked to come speak on this through other Tiger 21 groups around the country. So I tell you all that just to understand that the simplicity of this tool is great. But really the powerful nature of what this can be if you take this serious and put this into action in your life here today. So what we're going to do here is we're going to cover part 1 today. We're going to train on how to do the life assessment and how to go through the goal setting exercise. And then we'll sort of finish this up on Living Fully Day in a few weeks, and we'll then really focus in on the goal setting component of this. And this was one of the top requested sessions Patrick has received requests on for Living Fully Day, is on goal setting. So we're going to kind of kick that off here, get a lot of especially new team members going, understanding how to do this, and then we'll wrap this up in a few weeks. But you can certainly work ahead and do this full exercise here today or this week. So this can be truly life-changing exercise that can help you do what we're going to be covering in detail in a few days, one of our core values, which is living fully. Andrew Carnegie says, if you want to be happy, set goals that command your thoughts, liberate your energy, and inspire your hopes. They say 92% of those who set New Year's resolutions never achieve them. And goals are much more likely, though, to be achieved if they are written down. Research shows that only 3% of Americans have written goals, and only 1% of Americans have written goals that they review regularly. So I believe strongly that 1%, the 1% of Americans who control an enormous amount of the world's wealth, that 1% of most successful Americans in the country, although they're hated by the Democrats and by much of media, I think everybody wants to be in the 1%, right? Who doesn't want to be incredibly successful, wealthy, be able to help their families, help the missions and organizations they're passionate about, be able to help those in need, be able to give to their kids. Who doesn't want to have success, not only financially, but in in all areas of life. I believe there is a absolute direct correlation between those who have written goals they review regularly and the 1% of Americans who are most successful, not only financially, but in multiple areas of their life. It's a choice. We need to take ourselves out of and really accept that that's a choice. Take ourselves out of the mindset here that, oh, some of those people were given things and they grew up with a silver spoon and they had a trust fund or these things, this type of thinking. The majority of those wealthy people in America today um, did so on their own back. They did so through their own efforts, and it is a choice to be incredibly successful, and whatever that means to you, which you're going to decide that for yourself in this exercise. But to be incredibly successful is a choice, and it starts with having clear goals that you want to achieve, and then review them regularly so that you can make progress towards them. So the first component of this is life assessment, assessing where you are today, right here, right now, where you are in the different areas of your life. What we're going to start calling here moving forward the 8 F's of your life. So that's going to be the first part we're going to spend the majority of our focus here on today. The 8 F's life assessment. So the living fully checklist here, as we're coining it. So the 8 F's are faith. We call it faith and spiritual. So even if you're not, very religious, you can call that spiritual. Do you spend daily time in meditation or prayer? Family. Are you an amazing parent, incredible spouse? Whatever that family means to you. Could be son, daughter, could be cousin, nephew, niece, aunt, uncle, whatever family means to you, whoever is important to you and your family, friends. Are you making time for those that are important to you? The 4th F is finances. Are your finances where you want them to be? Are you on track to achieve what you want to achieve from a financial standpoint? Next is fitness. Are you as fit as you want to be? The 6th F is fulfillment. Are you fulfilled personally? 7th F is freedom. Are you achieving freedom? Do you feel in control of your life? And the 8th F is fun. Are you having fun right now? Even when you're working hard, are you incorporating fun into your life? And then are you making the level of progress in each of these 8 areas, daily, weekly, monthly, annually, towards your goals? In achieving, achieving success, achieving progress, you have to start with passion and purpose. Finding your passion, and we'll cover that more here on the next slide, but determining what you're going to be passionate about and what your purpose is. As Angela Duckworth says, with effort, talent becomes skill, and at the very same time, effort makes skill productive. Having the passion for the pursuit of improvement, the pursuit of getting better, is how I like to think about passion, but we'll talk more about that in a moment. I dropped in here, and actually, so I covered this with our executive team, I think this past December, and Larry Hickernell had me in a presentation yesterday with a bunch of people, potential investors, share my personal mission out. I don't think I had ever done that before, and it made me realize yesterday I should be sharing this with you guys. And I think it's something I encourage each of you to do is have your own personal mission. And we'll talk, and I'll show how to put this into your alignment workbook and how to incorporate this into your life designing and goal setting. This is the mission I set for myself, and you call this even a personal purpose, depending on how you want to think about it. You could have it certainly a lot shorter and call it a purpose statement, but I've kind of detailed out a mission statement for myself. And I'm a servant leader. I serve the Lord, my family, my team members, and my clients in that order. I will provide a massive impact on the need for affordable housing through the achievement of DLP's purpose and mission. I'll be respected most by those who are closest to me. I will strive to be a better version of myself each day. I will be purposefully, passionately, and relentlessly pursue mastery in God-sized goals. I will be decisive, make hard decisions, and do hard work. I will be a prolific, legendary, humble, and giving empire builder. I will bring energy, positivity, purpose, and presence to everything I do. I will remain curious and always pursue knowledge and improvement. I will not take myself too seriously. And I like to read this and remind myself of this before I do, my life assessment, before I set goals. Remind myself of my mission, remind myself of who I aspire to be. And each one of these sentences here that you see on the screen all have a different meaning to me, and help remind me of what I'm trying to accomplish, and keep myself grounded and focused, as I think about what I want to achieve and where I want to put my energy and my focus. And I encourage you to do something along these lines in the process of setting your goals and assessing your life, because it's a lot easier to assess my life, when I know where I'm going and what I'm trying to achieve. It becomes easier to grade how I'm doing in the life assessment. Um, so finding your passion, so passion and purpose. So, what Angela Duckworth says, what I mean by passion is not just that you have something you care about. What I mean is that you care about the same ultimate goal in an abiding, loyal, steady way. You are not capricious. Each day you wake up thinking of the questions you fell asleep thinking about. You are, in a sense, pointed in the same direction, ever eager to take even the smallest step forward, to take a step to the side, towards some other destination. At that extreme, one might call your focus obsessive. Most of your actions derive their significance from their allegiance towards your ultimate concern, your life philosophy. You have your priorities in order. Grit is about holding the same top level goal for a very long time. Again, by Angela Duckworth, author of Grit. So what I like to think about passion is, I like to, there's a lot of talk about, passion over, I'd call the last, decade, certainly, definitely even more so over the last few years. And I think a lot of people think of passion in the way I like to call it the Steve Jobs way, which is find something you love and you'll never work a day in your life, type of version of passion. And, if you love singing, then go become a singer. If you love basketball, go become a professional basketball player. That type of thinking of passion, finding your hobby and turning that into your career. And that sounds really nice, but that's not where I think real passion comes from. Real passion, that you can have this ever on your mind focus of improvement, of getting better, that you're thinking about how to become a little bit better, how to get a little bit closer to your goals when you wake up in the morning and you fall asleep at night. That pursuit of mastery is what passion is. It's the passion in the pursuit of being the best at your craft. It's the mindset of the garbage man who, when somebody asks one garbage man, what does he do for a living? He says, I clean up trash every day. And you ask another garbage man, he says, my job is to keep my city safe for kids to play. That different perspective on what he does or she does each and every day. That is where passion comes out, the effort, and the focus of improvement, of doing that job well, of getting better at it each and every day. That's where real passion comes from, is knowing that you're getting better, and crafting your skill each and every day. That's passion. So you can be passionate as an accountant. You can be passionate as a service technician. You can be passionate as a salesperson, and that can be your passion. Become the very best salesperson, the very best service technician. That may be coming to a service, manager, but becoming, the best in pursuing, improvement, your skill of customer service, of HVAC, of plumbing, of electrical, of improving your skills to be the very best at your craft, in your world. That's where passion comes from. And that's the passion we can all pursue, and the fulfillment you're going to get out of life when you look at passion through that lens, and you're setting goals to improve in your pursuit. It's incredibly fulfilling, but it's a shift of mindset. All right. So with all that said, let's dive into the actual tool of life assessment and goal setting. So you guys can either do one of two things here. You can pull up your alignment workbook, and in your alignment workbook, you're going to have your tab for life assessment and goal setting. Or you can use this new version that Patrick's going to drop into the chat box right now. I'm going to pull it up on my screen right now. So Patrick, if you can drop that in for me, it'd be great. I think it may be in there now. Awesome, thank you.
Added. Yep.
So this version is slightly different, slight tweaks from the version that's in your alignment workbook. It's not enough of a change that you need to use this new version, but it is slightly improved. So you can do what I did, which is I came in here, and when I pulled up this document, I made a copy of it. I then called it Don Wenner Life Assessment and Goal Setting, version 2020. And then what I did in my alignment workbook is I just linked it up here, 10/13/2020 update. So I didn't go in and try to, because it takes a lot of work to go and fix all this and change this all out. So because this tool is ultimately going to soon be in our new DLP Elite tools, our replacement attraction tools, soon this is all going to be in your one login, and it'll be updated automatically and stored for you. We didn't want to spend the energy to go and update this to everybody's alignment workbook, but you can simply, again, come in here, make a file, make a copy, and then, so you don't have to remember where you saved it. Just link it in here in your alignment workbook, which is what I did. So here's my version. First tab here is the life assessment tab, but again, you can just simply do this right in your alignment workbook right here. Either way is fine. So all you're going to do is go through here. Oops, let me pull up my version. You're going to go through here and answer these questions. And so I'm going to finish this training here up quick. I'm going to open up the questions in a few minutes, and then I'm going to give you guys time to do this. It only takes a few minutes. And then just to let you guys know, I do this at least every quarter. I go through and I assess how I'm doing. So this isn't something you need to just do once a year. I find it very valuable as I approach a new quarter and I'm setting rocks and I'm thinking about how I'm doing. I go through and test myself on this every quarter. We're just going to simply go in here and answer these questions honestly for yourself. And one of the nice things of doing this outside of your alignment workbook, if you prefer, you don't have to link it in, and nobody else has to ever see this but yourself. If that helps you at this point to be a little bit more, honest with yourself, because no one else is going to ever look at this, you can do that. I welcome you to share. I encourage you to share this with your leader and your teammates, because it helps bring accountability to improvement. But that's up to you. So you go through and say, all right, do I spend at least 10 hours of focus time with my family every week? 5 is its most true, 1 it's least true. I'll get together with my friends at least once a week, or once a week. Again, you can look at each of these questions. You can say, that's not exactly applicable to me, and I want to tweak that for my sake. So like the easiest example there would be on like fitness and health. Like, it says here, I eat a diet clean of low carb, sugars, and processed food. And if you follow a different diet plan and you think carbs are really good for your diet plan because of your health situation or your goals or whatever, then answer that for you. The real question is, are you eating the diet you want to be eating, right? So you can answer that however you want. If you even want, you can go in here and edit the question to answer yourself and say, I eat a high fat, high carb diet. And if that's what you want to be eating, and that's what you think is good for you based on your health situation, then update the question for yourself. It's you evaluating your life based on what you think success looks like. I think a lot of these questions are reasonably generally accepted forms of success, but you update them to what it means to you. So you go through and you answer these questions. If you're somebody who says, look, my goal isn't to sleep 7 hours a night, I know for me, the right amount of sleep I need is 6 hours, go ahead and update it to 6 hours. If you say, hey, look, I'm not 10,000 steps isn't my appropriate goal right now at this point in my life, or what I have going in health-wise, it's 8,000 steps, go ahead and update it for yourself. You're assessing your life based on what you want to determine success to be. So these questions are certainly a little biased to how I rate success and how some of the other leaders who've been involved in setting these questions evaluate success. So I went through this last night, and I did it again as I do this regularly, and I evaluated myself honestly across each of these questions to how I evaluate my performance and how I'm doing right here, right now, across each of these questions. My answers are going to be, my scoring may be a little bit higher than yours for a couple of reasons. Number one, because I partly wrote the questions, so I get that advantage that I'm setting what the bar is based on some skewed evaluation of success, you could argue. But more so, why I score high on these questions is because I've been doing this for 9 or 10 years, and I've been focused on improving in each of these different areas of my life with intentionality uh, and focus. I mean, I filled out this life assessment goal setting, I bet you 70 to 100 times. And I didn't score this high the first time I did it, the second time I did it. And there's been times over the last 8 to 10 years where my scores have gone down. And this has helped give me a slap in the face when I'm falling short in an area of my life, and help put the focus to bring it on track. And that's what the whole purpose of this is. So again, you go through, you answer each question. And then at the end, and again, a lot of these questions are updated. The category names are tweaked and updated a bit. At the end, it'll then rate you from a kind of a 1 to 10 across these different areas, and it'll give you a wheel of life, which will show you where you're off track. So if, hey, you're doing great on family and friends, and you're doing great on fun, but your fitness is down at a 4, that's obviously an area you need to put more focus on, right? Or if you're doing great in all these areas, but financial, you're down here at a 2 or a 4 or 6 or whatever that's obviously an area you need to put more focus on. So this helps you evaluate, where you need to put your energy and focus. What a lot of us are guilty of doing without going through this exercise is we want to put our focus on the things we're already doing a good job at. And that's why we're doing a good job at it, because we put our focus there. So this helps us make sure that, hey, I'm not going out here and setting goals all focused around finance if I'm already, kicking butt there, and I'm falling short on fulfillment, I'm falling short on my faith. I want to make sure I'm putting more focus then in those areas to bring that to improve my performance there. So I'm going to pause here and answer questions on the life assessment tool, and then I'm going to transition into giving an overview of how to do the goal setting, and then I'm going to stop and give us time to workshop through this today. And before I do that, before I open it up to question life assessment, I just want to show one other thing. So in my alignment workbook, where I put my mission statement or my purpose statement is here. So I just threw it right at the top of my 1-page personal plan, so you guys can read it there as well, and feel free to model it if you want in any way. But I put my mission or purpose statement here at the top of my 1-page personal plan. And I encourage you to do that, to even draft it, even if it's not that well thought out. You just start thinking about what do you want your purpose, what do you want your mission to be? And it's really helpful to read that as you think about improvement and assessing your life against that mission or purpose. So and every one of you have access to my alignment report as well. Patrick, you want to throw it in the chat, that'd be good as well. All right, so questions on life assessment.
Yeah, I love this tool, and I've used it several times. And one question I have for you is as you're going through this, in my eyes, I always like to have a fresh perspective. So I don't like to see my previous ones. And I really want to judge myself on what I'm doing now and a fresh mind on that. But my question to you is do you actually go back then and look at your previous ones and maybe judge yourself a little bit, and almost like a performance review, and kind of ask your own self is like, hey, why did I improve here or not improve here? And kind of walk me through your mindset on that.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's one of the nice things in the technology. You'll be able to save versions at each period and such. But what you can do right now here is like what I did here, and I put 10, 20, 10, 13, 20, 20 update. And if come end of the year, I'm prepping for next year, and I go and do a new one kind of over the holiday season, which I can tell you for sure I definitely will. I can go and drop in a date, make another, create a new one off the template, and drop that version in there and kind of save your historical. And that way you can look back and see how you're doing and if you're improving. So I agree with you 100%, Jonathan. I don't like to look at my last one before I do my next one. I like to just do it based on how I'm performing right now. But absolutely, there's value to then say, all right, how do I score now versus how I did 3 months ago or 6 months ago or a year ago, whenever you last did it. And for those of you who haven't done this since last year, you'll definitely get a lot of value in looking at how you're performing a year from a year ago versus now. There's probably going to be some significant changes, in some cases good, in some cases not, from where you scored a year ago. So it's a great question, great point, Jonathan. You guys are welcome as we're chatting to be filling this out as well. And again, you adjust what this means to you, and at different points in your life, the questions and the importance of different areas are gonna change for you, right? Being home to your family every day, if you're a single guy or girl right now, and that might not be a priority to you right now, and you can evaluate that question off what's important to you. But the key is for you to be evaluating and being honest with yourself on how you're doing in different aspects of your life. And I think, family, friends, fitness and health, freedom and career, finance, faith, fulfillment, fun. Those are all, areas of each of our lives, whether we think about them that way or we've put focus or energy in them in that way. These are all different aspects I think about being successful, and much about success and fulfillment is about your perception of how you're doing against what you in your mind have envisioned to be success. And one of the great values of doing this exercise and evaluating your performance against areas that you are accepting to be areas of success, and however you tweak these questions, if you do, is then when you're making progress and you're moving forward, it gives an amazing feeling of fulfillment that drives happiness and will drive even better future performance. And it's a great cycle of getting that feeling and that value of knowing I'm making improvement. And I think sometimes when we don't set clear goals, and we're not able to judge if we're doing good or not, we generally are hard on ourselves, and we generally are thinking, I'm not doing enough of this. I know a lot of especially my early career, I constantly found myself in my mind thinking I wasn't being distracted. And if I was spending time, working, I was thinking about how I wasn't spending time, at home with my family. And if I was spending time home with my family, I was thinking, I'm not doing enough to move the company forward. And, if I wasn't, making any time, if I wasn't, taking care of myself, as much as I wanted physically, I was thinking, I really need to get off my computer and get into the gym. And, I always found myself, questioning myself and beating myself up. And as I've built out the process of setting clear goals and being able to evaluate how I'm doing against those goals, it gives me a feeling of accomplishment, which helps me to stay focused and present in what I'm doing and get a lot more out of every moment of the day.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, Maurice.
I see a lot of stuff on there that we have to try and fit in the day. How do you handle time management?
Yeah, so if you guys go into my alignment report, just like each of yours, you can see the goals I set, and then as you scroll down on the one-page personal plan, you can see my actual schedule, and I update this regularly, and you'll see what my schedule looks like. Actually, I do need it. I'll drop in later today my most updated version because I have tweaked my schedule a little bit. So most specifically is I've added in an alignment meeting with one of my reports every single day at 7 a.m. So I tweak kind of my morning routine a little bit. So I haven't dropped that tweak in here yet. But this is what my calendar was up until a couple weeks ago. I made a tweak, but you can see exactly how I spend my time. And what's here without titles is what gets filled up with all the other priorities that aren't pre-scheduled, which are other internal external meetings. So you'll see how I build that out, and how I make how I kind of evaluate all these different goals. And that's an important question, Maurice, because as you assess your life and then you set your goals, which I'll cover here briefly in a moment. And then only way you're going to make improvement towards these goals is for them to hit your calendar, for you to change how you spend your time. If you don't change how you're going to spend your time, you're not going to change anything. So yeah, that's what this one-page personal plan is here, is to help you then look at success from a big picture and then break it down to building out the right habits, and these habit improvement that I have in here for myself, you'll notice if you look through my line report, there's a direct correlation between the habits I'm focusing on building on a daily and weekly basis with the goals I'm setting and the things I'm trying to improve upon. Good question, Maurice.
So I just want to add that I don't really use this as a goal. I use this as kind of like a checklist. So whenever I use my rocks or I use this, I use it as like a checklist of, oh yeah, I need to do this. Oh yeah, I need to do that. That's kind of my mindset. Whenever I look at my rocks and I'm like, that's just how I use it. Oh yeah, I gotta, like one of them, today is the 15th, so I'm checking my rocks to make sure where I'm at. And one of them that I always try to do, my mom's 88 years old, so I always use my mom as a rock. And one of them is to send her flowers. So I'm looking at it and like, doggone it, I haven't sent her flowers yet. So right now I just sent her flowers. So, just little things to, she's in, obviously in quarantine, she's 88 years old. So again, like I said, I don't try to, because I think sometimes you get like stuck in this mindset of goals and rocks, and it makes it feel like they're just, these big things you have to accomplish. And I just get into the mindset that it's just a checklist for me, something I got to get done. And that's how I accomplish them.
Thanks, Joni. And that's a good point. I want to make sure it's very clear. This is you assessing how you're doing today. This is not meant to be what you want to be accomplishing or a goal. This is you assessing the reality today, how you're doing in these areas. But great feedback there, Joni. All right, so after you assess yourself here and you get this score, then you're going to go to the second tab here of goal setting. And there's great instructions here on how to fill this out. Some of the stats and details that I went over here in the training. The encouragement here to dream big, to think big, to forget about limitations of today, and really allow yourself to dream and imagine. As it says here, just write down big goals that come to mind. You're not committing yourself to everything you write down. The point is to let your imagination go. Later, you'll determine what you want to make a priority. Be bold, use the concept of big, hairy, audacious goals, God-sized goals, as we say, and Chase the Lion. You want to write goals in the present tense. That's an important one. Sometimes I forget to do that. So instead of saying, I am, you say, I am my ideal weight of, 170 pounds by December 31st. First saying, I'm going to lose weight. You're talking in an affirmative present tense. Remain in the first person. Make your goal say I am instead of I want. You want to be in an achievement state of mind versus a wanting state of mind. Set goals for you, no one else. And then it goes through the 8F's goal system. So gives you a category here for each of these 8 areas, and then you're just simply going to drop in goals. So there's ideas at the top of each one to help you think about this, especially if this is new to you. And then you're just going to jot down as many goals as you can think of. We have it set up for 8, but that's not a limit. If you fill out all 8 and you have more, your mind's still running, just you don't have to put 9, but just start typing them here. Type them here. You can have as many as you want. There's no limit. Just let your mind go and think about what those goals are. I probably need to do this again from a mindset of letting myself daydream more, because I've done this so many times. I've gotten my goals pretty specific, and I probably need to take some time and just let my mind run and dream even bigger. But you'll notice I have pretty organized ones, as I've again done this many times. Again and again, but so these are my actual ones. I literally went through, guys, last night and redid this. I didn't look back at old lists. I've done enough. I know my goals pretty well, but I sat down last night, actually at Patrick's reminder that it'd be great to see mine, and I jotted all these down, last night. So you encourage you to see them again. I worked out of mine that I filled out 8 for each one, but if you have a lot more, just jot them down. So after you go through and you lay out, just let your mind daydream, you think in the affirmative, you jot down a lot of goals, then you're going to go in and you're going to fill out what are your top goals for next year. So now is where you take all these different ideas and you say, all right, what's most important? And you make them smart for the next year. And then you can weight them as well, if you'd like, to how important that goal is. So I did that already here for 2021. This will probably tweak. Well, it'll definitely tweak between now and the end of the year. But you simply jot them in here, and then you can just copy and paste them. If you're doing this in that tool, then you can simply copy and paste them into your Living Fully dashboard. Or if you're doing it within your workbook, you can fill it in right here. So you'll see here for me, this is my 2020 goals. So this should still stay here. You don't replace your 2020 goals. We're still in 2020. If you've been here and you did this earlier this year. So these are my goals for 2020. You'll notice what I do every month is I go in and I evaluate how I'm doing against these goals. So, and you'll see, how I'm doing. So if the goal was, worth 4%, I'm rating myself against that goal. And seeing how I'm performing. You'll notice on myself, I'm not crushing it at every point. I'm improving throughout the year, which is because I'm focusing on it. So when I started this year off, actually I started off a little bit better, than I fell down, frankly, when COVID hit, because I started falling off track with things. Notice I went from, 67 down to 61, 64, 60. And now over these last few months, I've started really hitting some stride. And this month I'm up to here in October so far, because I went and updated it last night. I'm at 85%. I'll update that at the end of the month, and it allows me to see how I'm doing, and hopefully I'll end up with an A when I get to the end of the year. Might not, though. Many years I have not. And so then I just dropped in my 2020 goals underneath that. Again, these will probably tweak and change before I get to the end of the year, before the next calendar year turns over. All right, so I'm going to open it up. Any questions here on the life assessment part 1 or the goal setting part 2? And then we'll be covering this in more detail and helping everybody actually fully complete this on Living Fully Day. And Patrick, if you have anything you want to add or anything I skipped over on, welcome your feedback here as well. But I'll open it up to any questions anybody has as well.
Hello, good morning. I have a lot of issues with the Living Fully dashboard. That one is really hard for me. I just don't, and many people have explained it to me. I just don't understand how I can come up with like a percentage with my time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a good question, Jessica. So you're not rating your time, so make sure that that's clear. So this isn't a weighting to how much time it's going to take you. And you guys will notice, I have too many goals, which is my MO. But again, I've done this many times. In the beginning, I kept it to 10 goals. And, because I do this so consistently, I feel very comfortable I can accomplish more than 10, and I can never narrow it down just to 10. But anyway, the weighting is not based on the amount of time it's going to take you. You're weighting it based on the importance. So you need to think about it like the 80-20 rule here, right? This should all be your 20%. These are your most important priorities, but some of these don't take that much time to accomplish, but they take, commitment. They take discipline. So it's about how important it is. And the way I think about that is at the end of the year, when I'm going to grade myself, or throughout the years I grade myself, how important is this goal? Is it really that important? If it's not, and it's more of something you really hope you do, but if it doesn't get done, it's not the top of the list for you, then you may weight it less. So if you only had 10, you may weight stuff from, which is what I recommend, only have 10. You're gonna be weighting things. Maybe it's only worth 2% of how you grade yourself in the year. Maybe it's worth 20%. Maybe it's by far your biggest, most important goal. For that's going to drive your fulfillment and your overall accomplishment for the year. So like this past year, I said I was going to start power gliding, which I never did. I still have not been out one time, and some people such as Bob tell me that's a good thing, that I shouldn't do it. So I haven't gotten out there once, but I only weighted that as my lowest, most important goal. I was hopeful it was a hobby I'd get into, but I never did. And it's not going to mean my whole year wasn't successful, obviously, just because I didn't accomplish that goal. And I waited the least, and it's the only goal that I haven't actually made any progress on.
I found that actually looking at the life assessment and how I did when I do it helps me weight the goals that I set. Because if I look at the wheel of life, the areas that are lacking helps me weight the goals that I'm setting.
Yeah, great point, Coy. So a lot of times I found myself guilty that I'll go in here and I'll set all these goals and I'll realize, wait a second, I got a whole lot of goals around, one area of my life, and I'm already doing well in that area. Hence why I have lots of specific goals and I put lots of focus there, but I really didn't put any goals around the areas I'm falling short on. So that's a great point that we'll get into in part 2, that once you set these goals, you then need to go back and look at your life assessments. All right, I only scored a 3 here. Do I, or especially if you have a 1 or 2 somewhere, am I incorporating that improving on that question, on that area, if that's important to me to do so, into the goals I'm setting for the next year? So that's a great tie-in, great point, Coy.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely a great point. I might go back to Jessica's a little bit too, because, Don, as you said, has 9 years of practice at this. And I've had some people ask the same questions about the confusion on the weighting. So I think a very simple way to look at it, you go through all of your goals, and then you could very simply pick a top 10 for what those are. And then those 10 are all 10%. That ranks to your 100%. So that is a very simple stripped down version of how to do weighting for those that might have never done this before. And then from there, as you get into it, it's like, well, then this one's a little bit more important. I want to do that. And then you might want to add a few more goals come in later. So you can kind of start tweaking it as you get into it. Yeah, I'd say start simple. And to Don, your point, asking me if I had anything else to add, I think the only other thing to add is just take the time to do this. Because really, when we had our Living Fully Today planning team meeting, and we were talking about this being one of the most requested topics, and the group actually said, we want to be able to have time to do the assessment. This assessment takes time to do, so we want to do it before Living Fully Day. So then when we hit Living Fully Day, going back to Maurice's point earlier, what are we going to do for goal achievement? How are we then going to get in and do those day-to-day actions to make sure that we're accomplishing these goals? So take the time here today. We're ending this early. Have on your calendars till 10 o'clock for a purpose. Start this assessment, start working on your goals, and it'll all be building on each other for Living Fully Day. So.
Thank you, Patrick. All right, anybody else? Any other questions? All right, well then let's take some time to workshop. So appreciate it, everybody. Thank you. Feel free to reach out to me any questions. And looking forward to part 2 in the Living Fully Day. Thanks, Patrick. Thanks, everybody.
Dale.